The Canes took care of business at Hard Rock against Syracuse, but probably even better news elsewhere in the ACC to give Miami some hope down the stretch. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Those comments, questions are always welcome here on Miami Hurricanes Live. I'm simply your host, Mark Rogers. There is Cam Underwood from the State of the U. Cam, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. Glad to see everybody. A new first comment champion. Welcome to the scoreboard, James Scott. Whoa, CANES Canes. Let's go, man. Good to see you. Glad to be here. What's up to everybody? We're out here doing the thing on the field, which is great. In the world of recruiting, which is also great. And not losing games that we shouldn't be losing. Even though I know we already did that twice this year. Hopefully that gets put behind us.
I have had one task out there that I have yet to take the all of 3 or 4 minutes to do it. It comes to mind here in the last couple of weeks, ever since Miami has taken a couple stumbles, and that's Mario Cristobal's record in November at Miami. I know it's not pretty. I know I've seen it cited at times. I do not recall what that is.
It's not great. Let's do this together as a family. So he's been here since 22. And then that is 1 and 3. So 1 win and 3 losses his first year. That's great. Wait. Yeah, this is year 4. And then 1 win and 4 losses the next year. So that's 2 and 8.
2 and 7.
2 and 7, excuse me.
They played 5 games in November?
It was the same thing as this year. Okay. It's a 5-week November, yeah.
All right.
4th, 11th, 18th, 24th, and 28th. No, sorry. 4. And then a bowl game. So 1 and 4. So 1 and 4 and 1 and 3. So 2 and 7.
2 and 7.
And then
last season.
2, 3, 4. They split. So 2 and 2 last year in November.
4 and 9.
And then 1 and 1 so far this year.
5 and 10.
Jackson Johnson, yeah, 5 and 10 in November since 22. And then So yeah, not great.
I saw another number, and this doesn't tell the story completely, but we do start with record and then tell the story from there. And this was a couple of weeks ago. So since then, I believe this is after the second loss. This is probably after the SMU game. So tack on a win against Syracuse, of course. 15 and 14 for Mario Cristobal in the ACC. And Manny Diaz was 16 and 9. I believe that was the record. I will double check it. Something
along those lines. I think it was maybe not 16 and 9, but but better. So yeah. But also Manny Diaz left Miami in a state of disrepair to the point that we had to get it to be this kind of program, tear it down to the studs, and I mean really to the foundation of the ground. Actually, honestly, we probably dug up the foundation and poured a new lower foundation to have completed a finished basement, kind of a thing with 8-foot headroom and whatnot. So,
okay, if you say so. 16 and 9 in the ACC.
Okay, yeah, okay. I don't think the man does that here or anything. And I mean, he's a good guy and he's a nice coach. The players liked him and everything, but and this roster doesn't look like this. Several of the standout players aren't even here. Several of the guys who can not even get on the field aren't here because famously, Ray Joseph was committed to Clemson at the time. So it is what it is. I get that
So
there's always going to be comparison, but I'm happy where we are.
So you think unequivocally that Manny Diaz, or I'm sorry, Mario Cristobal is a better head coach than Manny Diaz?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any pause or compunction about that. Nope.
I tend to think that, but I can't logically. I can defend it, but I could defend Manny Diaz being a better coach. Like logically, and in terms of numbers and facts and situations and all those things put together, I sense it more based on hope and recruiting, but I don't see it yet.
Manny Diaz's team doesn't get Cam Ward. Manny Diaz's team doesn't go 10-2 last year. Manny Diaz's team doesn't have a chance to go 10-2 this year.
Well, you're speaking things that we don't know.
I'm very confident with that. So, and I mean, from what we saw, like he barely had. He fought to be 7-5 in year 3, and had to politic to try to have his job. So, like, I'm pretty comfortable with that.
But you're not stating facts. You're stating your. It's not even a projection. You're stating what you believe he's capable of and not capable of.
Fact in year 3, this team did not have as much talent in year 3 as under Cristobal, even with the year 0 having to tear it down, and had the same kind of record with no star power incoming and things like that. I'm very confident that, it was. I understand why we hired Manny Diaz at the time. It was a bridge too far. It was a job that was too big for him. And he was able to, again, I'm not saying that he was, Mike Norvell 2-10 type joint, or, Billy Napier get fired for multiple 4-8s. But he didn't have the range. That heat too. Manny Diaz does not beat Notre Dame.
So, but these people are stating things that we don't know. Like, I love so-and-so wouldn't do this or would do this, but that's not fact. People in this day and age speak too much out of. Okay. I will hold. You know what I mean? That's not a fact.
No, I hear you.
Manny Diaz would beat Notre Dame or not beat Notre Dame. We have absolutely no idea.
A Manny Diaz coach team does not beat Notre Dame.
We just have no idea. There's no way of knowing that.
Let him anywhere go play a team of that ilk and beat them, because he coached 0 games at Temple. We lost to look, all these legendary losses that happened under Manny Diaz in but 3 years.
I understand. We're not comparing Nick Saban to Manny Diaz. We're comparing Mario Cristobal to Manny Diaz.
Right, but I'm still very confident that he's
I'm not waging an argument that Manny Diaz is better. I'm just asking the question and stating that the facts to date are very vague, very comparable, very gray.
I disagree, especially when you take into account the fact that he was at Oregon previously and the record from there, and also from FIU. So when you stack all of that together and what has been done at Miami and even can remain in this season, I really don't think that it's close. But okay.
And we could say that Manny Diaz is basically doing at Duke what Mike Elko is doing there, and David Cutcliffe in his best years, which is nothing exceptional, but it's
right. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's all right.
And I would consider Mike Elko to be one of the best coaches in the sport. In the top 10 or 15, something in that range.
I agree.
So again. I understand, because I tend to believe that Mario Cristobal is a better coach. I'm just looking at the facts and thinking.
Right. I mean, to this point of his tenure at Miami. But again, Mario Cristobal has not only been a coach in Miami. The other accomplishments and things that he did in other places, including FIU and including Oregon, also count. And if you're only looking at, what he's done at Miami versus what Manny Diaz has done at Duke at the same time, there is a level of sameness when you look into the whole thing at the overall records. But not. I think that that's a fool's errand to try to equate them or make it.
And I'm not evaluating
close. Yeah, I just don't.
And
I'm
not evaluating.
It's close.
I'm not evaluating their resumes. That's not what I'm evaluating. I'm evaluating how good they are as just head coaches. And I just think it's fairly, I think it's indecisive at this point because Miami
very strongly disagree.
Games that they shouldn't lose.
I very strongly disagree. It's not. I don't think that it's close.
And I don't know that if Mario Cristobal went to Duke, that they wouldn't be doing the same thing that they're doing under Manny Diaz.
Okay.
But again, that can't be proven one way or the other.
Okay.
I guess my last question in that would be, what was the shape of the program when Manny Diaz took it over versus when Manny Diaz handed it off to Mario Cristobal?
It was better when Manny took it over from Rick, it was in better state than when Manny handed it off, or it was taken from Manny and given to Mario. That's No. No. It was in a much better state. I mean, you were one season removed from 10 and from the 10-win 2017 season.
I'm sorry. I knew that we would get a moronic comment. I knew that some idiot would step up and say, "You're a hater." I don't care. I'm simply saying, look at the facts, which are a record, and really it's indiscernible. From a record standpoint, it's indiscernible.
I think that that's a real... You're splitting hairs the long way. And I know that I shaved my head and I don't have it, but like I mean, yeah, I know that you're more of a national guy than I, and I would lean on you for national questions, but like, all due respect, it's really not close between Mario Cristobal and Manny Diaz, especially at Miami. I don't know on what level, if you talk about infrastructure, organizational alignment from program and university, if you want to talk about recruiting, if you want to talk about, but all those things are part of the...
Of course they are.
Though. So and
that's why I raised the question. I raised the question based on if somebody just looked at it and said, who's accomplishing more on the field? It's very comparable to date.
Okay.
On the field.
Okay.
It's very comparable.
Okay. I disagree.
And if anything, obviously Manny Diaz has a better record in the conference on the field.
Right. I mean, they're also 1-3 in the non-con this year. You know what I mean? They're 5-4 overall.
Oh yeah, if you're looking.
And I know that they might like make it to the ACC championship game and everything, but I mean, like 4 losses last year. You know, and it's just like I do not agree. We do not share the same viewpoint. I do not think that it's close.
I don't even know if you understand my viewpoint. I don't have a viewpoint in it other than I think that Mario Cristobal is a better head coach, but the records are telling me that it still has yet to be decided.
They did not start from the same place. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
But okay.
They didn't.
I mean, hey, we can move on. We can move on. I understand what you're saying. And I get your viewpoint. I just don't believe that even the records on the field are that close. I mean, especially with the trajectory of where Miami had to come from to where they are versus a starting place at Duke that was in a better place than when Manny had the program here taken from him and given to Mario. So
when Manny took over the program, they had won a bowl game. I don't know what that means. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the 2016 season when we went up to Orlando and we won that bowl game.
Yeah, I don't even know why this matters, but he's stating something that didn't exist. They lost 2 consecutive bowl games when Manny Diaz.
In 17 and 18, yeah.
All right. So what did you see against Syracuse? Pros and cons, good and bad. I would think it's heavy on the good side.
Yeah, it was a lot like the Stanford game. It was just an overmatched team, you know, and the team finally started playing lighter, like not as if every single snap held the weight of the world on their shoulders. a slow offensive start again. Got to get those cleaned up. No penalties on offense. It was drops and missed running lanes. As opposed, and Mark Cristobal 2 weeks ago said that we were going to. I see everybody in the comments about recruiting. We're going to get there. I see it. I promise. Excuse me. But Cristobal said that he guaranteed that they were going to clean up the offensive procedural penalties, and he delivered on that guarantee. So good for them on that. Hit the trick plays, dialed a bunch of them up, did a lot of different things, a lot more pin and pull. We got in the run game getting to the edge. We had Gerard Pringle Jr. in there, and he really had some juice and was able to go out there and score very quickly. Dalen Upshaw came in off the bench because JoJo Trader had another terrible drop, even though this one did not end up in an interception. It might have been a touchdown had he caught the ball wide open on a drag route. And he, Dalen Upshaw, that is, creased a tunnel screen for about 45 yards, or 41, excuse me, to be exact. And it was very interesting. Gerard Pringle and Dalen Upshaw, who I just mentioned, both true freshmen, both won Scout Team Player of the Week in the cadre of players who got that, and Offensive Player of the Week overall for the game. So these are guys who were splitting time on scout team for a couple of reps, running over with the ones, getting a couple of reps and everything, but stayed ready when their number was called. And you love to see that. The defense was fast and swarming and physical, did all the things that you want to do, had 3 takeaways. So, we won that battle. Really like the creativity on offense. Mario Cristobal finally getting a recruiting promise checked off from years ago. He promised Francis Mauinoa that he would get a touchdown in college the same way that Cristobal did for Penei Sewell at Oregon. And he had a throwback for a touchdown, which technically had to be a run because offensive linemen, you cannot throw the ball forward to them. You have to throw it backwards. But yeah, so you got that. Carson Beck had a touchdown catch from Malachi Toney on the extension of the 2-point play against Louisville, where we ran to the right and threw it, ran that same play, but tweaked the blocking, stop, throw back to Carson. He's wide open. So there's stuff in this playbook, man, and they said they'd been practicing the Maui Noah play since he got to campus. This kid's a junior, started every game for 3 years. So these are things that have been repped and are in the playbook, which only leads me to think, how else you got in there, Shannon Dawson? You in here cooking. I saw, there was things, bro. But, everybody has to do their job on every single play. First play of the game was a touchdown to Malachi Toney. The defensive lineman got no pass rush, and when you get no push on the pass rush, they tell you to get your hands up. And he tipped a ball on a shallow crosser that on Wednesday evening to right now, Malachi Toney is still running west out of the end zone from Hard Rock Stadium had that ball gotten there. So, it's the margins are thin and everything, but yeah, we stomped them real bad as it should have been. Allowed a touchdown late, which was significant to some, depending on where you got the line and everything. My favorite thing was, a measure of revenge on Syracuse for losing to them. And we, again, another game that we shouldn't have last year, 21-0 after 18 minutes and then getting blown out 42-17 the remainder of the game. But also their loudmouth coach, Fran Brown, wants to always he wants to chirp and he wants to say things. He's talking in the middle of the game, before the half. Man, we were on the verge of having them quit and da-da-da-da-da-da. And asked about it on Monday in his morning radio appearance, Mark Cristobal said, we didn't look like any quitters when we were up 38-3, though, did we? And I mean, I love that energy. But yeah, we did what we needed to do. Had some new guys rotate in at a bunch of different positions. The thing that I'm interested to see are about the injuries coming out of this game. It is Keontae Scott, the nickel, the Thorpe Award semifinalist, got injured during the game, and then he did not play anymore. Isaiah Taylor, Jason Taylor's son, came in at nickel, and a couple other people. The severity of his injury is under much scrutiny at this point. So he may or may not play this week. And without K. Scott, that is a big loss for this defense if he is out. I know people are already trying to jump in and say, well, it should be Jadis Richard in there or whatever. Jadis Richard and Ryan Mack both played their first snaps in a year coming back from ACL surgery last week. So I'm a little hesitant to just say, okay, well, he's a plug-and-place replacement for arguably the best or the MVP on defense of this team, even over Ruben Dane Jr. You know what I mean? So we'll see about that. We'll see about CJ Daniels coming back. We'll see about OJ Frederick coming back. Mark Fletcher, I do believe, is supposed to be out for another week. Ahmad Moten Sr. might come back. But yeah, you know, we're interested to see that. But for a vast majority of this game, even while there was a little bit of a slow start, this team looked like the team that we saw for the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or whatever. And they should look like that against this caliber team, which is pretty analogous to Stanford, which, I mean, just a woeful bunch. So it was good to get the points on the board. It was good to hit the trick plays. It was good to shut their loudmouth coach up and everything. I don't really think that that's indicative of anything moving forward because we're not going to play any other teams that are as bad as Syracuse or Stanford. Those are the worst two teams on our schedule. We're not playing any teams that are that bad anymore. But it's good, again, to get some buckets, to make some plays, to have some things go the way that you want them to go, to get that momentum moving forward. So yeah.
We appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. We do this on Wednesday nights. Cam Underwood's here from the State of the U the rest of the week. Check out Cam and the rest of the staff there at the State of the U. We do have a super chat coming in. And we've got Paolo, Fran Brown, the head coach you love if he was on your team, but hate as your opposition.
I'm from Detroit. I rooted for the bad boys. Trust me, I get it. Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer. Yep, I get it. I'm sure if Fran Brown was associated with the Miami Hurricanes, if he was, I mean, not our head coach, but, you know, if it was our defensive coordinator or safeties or whatever, if he was wearing orange and green, yeah, I would be down for that dude. But no, he's on the other side. So, yep, love to hate him. Exactly. And, you know, yeah, he talks reckless like he did last year. And then, yeah, he can hold that from now. So, yeah, I have no problems with any of that.
All right. And we've got this comment coming in. We appreciate you. Keontae Scott, straight ballin'.
Yeah, man. Thorpe Award semifinalist. He should be a finalist, if not front runner for the award. Like, this is a guy. His impact cannot be overstated. Miami thought they were set on defense after or going into the spring with transfers they were bringing in and everything. And Corey Heatherman even said it this week. He said, look, after the spring, we put in the tape of guys who were in the transfer portal and put on the tape of Keontae Scott. And and the first thing he said to the entire room is, how do we get this guy here? Like, and this is after spring, right? So a guy like Charles Brantley from Michigan State, a Florida native, honorable mention all conference in the Big Ten last year. You figure he plays slot. He's going to be the slot defender. Charles Brantley is, I don't know that he's played snaps this year, like at all. If he has, it's been a handful at best. You know what I mean? Like, they had to go and do some things. And so, yeah, you went out and got Jacoby Thomas late in the second portal window. Thank goodness. You went and got Keontae Scott in the second portal window, and those are your best two defensive backs. And a Thorpe Award semifinalist, yeah, I mean, he is straight balling. So, again, hopefully the rumors of his injury are greatly exaggerated. But if not, it's going to be a real interesting rotation on defense to see, especially against NC State, with CJ Bailey, the Chaminade alum, who is their quarterback now, and he's been dealing the last couple of games, so they want to throw the ball. So, like, who do you play where if you're without K. Scott? You know, and is OJ Frederick back? Because if he is, then you think, okay, maybe your corner rotation is Ethan O'Connor, Damari Brown, OJ Frederick and Xavier Lucas. Maybe you take Damari Brown, rocked up at like 6'2", 208, who looks like a carbon copy of college Antrell Roll at this point, physically at least. Maybe you move him inside and you bully the slot from that nickel. Maybe you move Xavier Lucas and you put a track team out there. Maybe you take Jacoby Thomas as a bigger slot, move him down to the nickel, put Bryce Fitzgerald out there to play center field next to Zach Poyser. Maybe you rotate some freshmen inside, outside, all over the side on the but like if you're without K. Scott, he's such a Swiss Army knife. I think that you're going to probably see 2 or 3 players rotate at that spot, given scenarios and situations of the game, to try to replicate what he does, because he's so impactful as a blitzer, as an apex run-setting edge defender. And you think about it differently than Ruben Bain, but he knifes in there. He beats blocks and everything. He gets tackles for loss. He gets sacks. He plays man coverage, zone coverage. He does it all. And so I think that if he's not there, you'll probably see 2 or 3 different guys rotate in there to cover the skill set that he offers in just one person, if that makes sense.
I filled out my All-America team for the Football Writers Association just this afternoon. Keontae Scott, first team cornerback.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's reasonable and well earned.
Based on what I've seen.
So yeah, he's been doing the job. So yeah, it'll be definitely interesting there. NC State, we're going to see if their starting running back is back or not. If not, the freshman that they started 2 weeks ago was Rookie of the Week in the ACC, stepping in for Hollywood Smothers. Duke Scott, I believe is his name. So like they have guys there. CJ Bailey obviously has a plethora of pass receivers that he throws to. I know that he was asked directly about being from South Florida and if he's trying to prove anything to Miami or if he holds a grudge against Miami for not really recruiting him. He said the thing, which is what you say, is like, no, I got nothing to prove to nobody. I'm out here to do the best for my team and da-da-da-da. If you believe that kid doesn't have a fire inside of him to show up the hometown team that passed on him in recruiting, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like I've said it on here before. I'll say it again. He was one of 5 players at Chaminade. It was him, Davion Goss, running back, who had an offer, but he ended up going to North Carolina. We weren't really recruiting him that heavily, but still, North Carolina. JoJo Trader, who we know and have an interesting relationship with. Zaquan Patterson, who was here and then left and then got kicked out of Oklahoma State, who's at Alabama State right now, by the way, if you didn't know that. And then, of course, the jewel of all jewels, the best player I've seen in 25 years down here, Jeremiah Smith. All 5 of them went to school together at Chaminade, and the other 4, as I know it from someone who works at Chaminade and whose son was on that team, told me that the other 4, not named CJ Bailey, he was the 5th one if I didn't list him, went to the coaches and were like, cool, we want to commit, but if you offer our quarterback Cedric, that's his government name, if you offer Ced, all 5 of us are going to slide. And Miami said, nah, we're not going to be, held to the whims of teenagers. So we're going to evaluate who we want and we're going to do what we want. And instead, as Hassan Kiab says in the chat, Miami picked Judd Anderson as the quarterback in that class directly over CJ Bailey. 167, 220, CJ Bailey 6'6", 203. So both tall and variations of thin, but yeah, very, very different. And yeah, that is a guy who that was the choice directly. And then we did lob a courtesy offer late, but he was already set on NC State from before. So, hey, Smitty, I'm just telling you what a guy that I've known for more than 20 years, who works at Chaminade, has kids who were on the team, told me. Take it as you will. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was like that. So I say all that to say, if you believe that he's not a little salty about what happened with the hometown Canes, who he wanted to play for and had come to camps and all these different kind of things, I don't necessarily believe that to be true. But also, look, you say what you got to say. This is a business. And if he wants to be a professional quarterback, he handled that in a professional way. And when you look a couple years down the road and he's in conversations for the NFL draft, and I mean, remembering that quarterbacks are different than any other player because they're really an extension of management and the forward face of the organization. He has not come off as a petulant child. He's come off as a veteran, grown man who said what needed to be said the way it needed to be said. And I commend him for that. I just also believe that, yeah, behind closed doors, it's F Miami, F this, I'm going to show them, da, 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 da. And I would have that same emotion. So maybe he is more, maybe he's more mature. Maybe his mentality is more ascended than mine, where he's just able to say, no, everything is cool. And he doesn't harbor those ill will or, those bad feelings. I know that I would and do for similar situations, even though these many years later. So it'll be very interesting. I mean, they are an interesting offensive team. They're physical on defense. North Carolina State, they always are, a tough out. Miami's a 2-touchdown favorite, 14.5 points. I have it Miami, but Miami by like a touchdown to 10 points in this game. I do think that this should be another solid win for the Hurricanes. I also understand that we have not delivered in moments that we need to previously. And you see there, 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. Yep. With 14 sacks on 70% completions. So far, Hollywood Smothers, their leading rusher, 825, but he's been hurt. Jaden Scott, their number 2 rusher, CJ Bailey, also does scramble a little bit. And then Darius Duke. No, that's not him, is it? I don't know. Anyways, they do have a talented offense. And they have a talented team. And Dave Doran has instilled he's built a good program, a solid program there. But Miami should be able to pull away by a touchdown to 2 tuds, I think. If they do what they need to do. But we've already seen them not do what they need to do twice this year. So we shall see on Saturday.
Dave Doran has been there for a long time. He's now working on his 13th season, and I have actually posted 2 videos in the past on Dave Doran and why is he still employed at NC State. Now, I've lightened up in recent years because he has had better seasons more recently. I'm talking like 2018, 2019, after about 7 or 8 seasons. At one point, he had a 33% winning percentage in the conference. He had a lot of 3 and 5s in the conference, where you win 4 cupcakes out of conference and you go to a bowl game, you look good, you're 7 and 5, you look okay, or 4 and 4, and then you're 7 and 5, 8 and 4. Maybe you got to play Notre Dame, so you lose that out of conference game. And a lot of East Carolina, a lot of Richmond type out of conference games that has puffed up the record. But there was a 3 or 4 year stretch here recently where he upped it to a lot of 9 and 3s, and they played better and were a better program. So I've kind of lightened up on Dave Doran. But they're pretty much a 7 and 5, 8 and 4 kind of program. They're 5 and 4 right now, only 2 and 3 in the ACC, but they are coming off their best performance in beating Georgia Tech by 12 points and have a bye week coming into this one.
Appreciate them for that win over Georgia Tech. Needed them to catch an L this year. And that has opened the door, potentially, that and other results for Miami to backdoor their way into the college football playoff. Since, we closed the front door by being stupid against Louisville and SMU, but, you keep playing all the way through. And, there's a chance, there's a very small chance, very, very small, to make the ACC championship game still too. You need more help to make the ACC championship game than you do to make the college football playoff. Crazy though that sounds, it is very, very much true. But Miami is not technically, mathematically eliminated from the ACC championship game at this point. We'll see. But this should be an interesting game. It's always, it's usually been a good game against NC State in the times that we've played them. Over the course of years, whether it's, the shootout with Derek King, Stephen Morris dropping 566 yards against them, and a touchdown to Philip Dorsett late in that game years ago. I would like a workman-like blowout this week. But yeah, that's the task ahead of Miami. And hopefully, yeah, some of the good vibes from last week, and we add some of the wrinkles again or some new ones because there's more in the bag. I know Shannon Dawson has more in the bag. Some of the wrinkle things on top of the staples, because you're going to run the staples. I'm not saying don't run your staples. You're going to run duo. You're going to run inside zone. You're going to run, the passing concept. You're going to run those things. Everybody has a footprint. Everybody has the things that they do and are the foundation of their offense. I'm not saying don't do those. But when you then sprinkle in these other things as well, it gets to be stressing the defense in ways that can be advantageous. I would still like to see more deep throws because we don't really attack the vertical space like the deep thirds or the deep third of the offense. Like if you're talking, 10 and in being the first level, 20 to 10 being the second level, you're not really pushing to the third level vertically. You go horizontally and then maybe get there with run after catch. But I think I need to push the ball in select places, right? Not just saying willy-nilly, right? So not how we did it against Louisville, which was Malachi Tony runs, screw it, I'm throwing it, right? That's not the kind of vertical shot that I want. We dialed up one of those last week on Jojo Trader's bad drop on a cross, but they had 3 players running with Malachi Tony on the post route or the skinny post, right? Don't throw that ball. And I'm glad that Carson did not. You know what I mean? But so I would like to see some more vertical throws, even if it's only 2 to 3, just to lighten the pressure, lessen the pressure in the box a little bit more, to give the run game just a little bit more of an advantageous look in the box, which we benefited from so greatly last year when we had Cam Ward in the bomb squad because you couldn't put everybody in the box. But they're able, opponents, to stack more guys towards the run, which we've seen have a negative impact. We're 1.6 yards per carry less than last year and have had all these troubles. So that's my only thing that I would like to see added as well, if you get the situations for it. And you do have to have the right calls and the right looks, and, I'll wrap this up with it's on both trick play touchdowns, Syracuse showed the exact right look defensively to run what we ran. Had they played zone on the Carson Beck touchdown, he probably doesn't score. But they played man-to-man. You get a clean block by Marty Brown, and then there's 4 offensive linemen with nobody to run to because the receivers all ran crossers from the defense's right to left, going this other way, and then you open that up. Same thing on the Maui Noah throwback touchdown. You showed the exact perfect thing. Had they ran a different look, different coverage, it might don't go the same. So hopefully we get some looks and we're able to take advantage of them.
For as much as I love to break down schedules and I love to break down these kind of crazy scenarios, somebody had commented, I think it was Paolo in the chat, kind of a harken back to Atlantic chaos, coastal chaos. That's what we've got in the ACC right now. We can look at the standings, but it's without graphic help and so forth. It's impossible to break down all the various scenarios. But as Cam outlined, Miami still with a thanks to Cal beating Louisville on the road in overtime, and also Virginia going down to a Wake Forest team, has opened things up for a number of teams. It's just, and to think about that the weekend was this crazy that Duke lost to UConn, and it was actually a good weekend for Duke. Like, their loss mattered less than these other teams helping their cause in the ACC. And now there's talk out there, and it's very real, that Duke could win the ACC championship, but not get an automatic bid to the playoff because they wouldn't have a good enough standing within the college football playoff rankings to be an automatic qualifier. We could see Miami make the playoff at 10-2 and the ACC champion, if it's Duke, get left out, something crazy like that. But what these losses did also for Miami is it dwindles aside from the ACC play or the ACC championship path that is still alive for Miami. As Cam says, it's very intricate and it's very narrow. But from a
Mhm.
playoff perspective, it all but eliminates the ACC being a 2-bid league unless it includes Miami. Like it includes,
Yeah.
let's say Georgia
Mhm.
Tech runs a table, Miami runs a table, and the ACC gets in 2, for
Right. I
example.
think, yeah, that's probably the only way. I've been racking my brain on all this stuff, but all the cross lines, it looked like I was at Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he has the board and he's doing the conspiracy theories and whatnot. Basically, Duke or Virginia. No, I lost it. I have so many things. There are ways in which Miami can get to 6-2 and hold tiebreakers and make it to the ACC championship game as either the home team or away team. Just trust me on that. It can look in a variety of different ways. It can have Georgia Tech up top. I think it can have Duke or Virginia up top. There's multiple teams that it could be number 1 and then Miami is number 2, depending on how the losses in conference go. There can be like 5 teams at 6-2 in the conference at the end of the day. And depending on who beats whom, Miami could be the number 1. There's just a lot of moving parts. But again, it takes less specific losses for Miami to make the field at large to the directly to the college football playoff than it does for Miami to make the ACC championship game. But those are the standings right now. This is the state of affairs. We've played one fewer game, in the conference than most of the other teams in front of us. And you can see the points for and points against. Like, clearly we have the best, lowest scoring defense and one of the highest scoring offenses, still even only with 5 games under our belt. But, hey, it is what it is. We lost the games that we lost. Can't take it back. No takesy backsies. So we just got to move forward, win all of our games, and have other things else. Lord Jesus, sorry, I was reading the chat. Other things go the way that we need them to go to get the help that we need to get.
Fascinating. 5 teams tied for first place in the ACC.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hassan Kayab, how come when somebody throws a hook 'em down, you get a penalty, but when you throw the U down, there is no penalty? You know why.
Well, I don't exactly know why. Wasn't that something that the SEC mandated or that they are enforcing? Is that what the hook 'em down is all about? Isn't
I
that the
believe that
SEC
was across
standing?
the sport for any taunting hand signs and things like that, comma, or parentheses, such as da 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 da. So, yeah, it is what it is. And it leads into Hassan's other query. Did you see the story Manny Navarro put up that Miami has 33 more penalties called on them than our opponents? I sure did. And I've talked about it on here. It is a disparity that defies logic. I can only think that it is, in some measure, whether intentional or not, a coordinated effort. I saw a video from Kane's Tapes, a guy named Art, been following him for a long time, good buddy, online. And he made the assertion that it is basically a self-fulfilling prophecy of a internalized belief that Miami are the villains of college football back from the 80s. And so everything that you look at has that filter, right? Of, oh, they're bad, so they do a thing and we're going to adjudicate it with a penalty. Whereas other teams do the exact same thing and it is not adjudicated as a penalty or not ruled the exact same. There were videos of the fumble that they overruled at SMU, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad call that had a direct impact on the outcome of the game. There were 2 other plays that same week in the ACC that were the exact same that were ruled fumbles in other games. Why then against Miami is this not, right? Well, there's this thing that Miami did, cool, and there was like 2 other clips. Miami does a thing, it's a penalty. Somebody else does the same thing in another game, it's not a penalty. Look, it is what it is, which is why I've made it my personal viewpoint, and I went on and I talked about this last week, that I don't talk much about officiating anymore. First of all, because you guys said I was a crybaby and I was just trying to put it off on the referees. But like, it's pervasive, so like it's really bad. So yeah, I mean, I said it, I saw the piece. I've said it on here. Yes, Miami is refereed differently than other teams, even on the same field as somebody else in the same conference, where things are the same things are ruled in other ways than they are against Miami. But it is what it is, dog. We just got to play.
I hope that Dirty Kane Thang is trolling here. If he's trolling, fine.
He's trolling. He's absolutely trolling. He's absolutely trolling.
We're not going to compare the Big Ten and the ACC, are we?
Oh, boy. No. Anyways, there we go. I'm going to take a small detour to the wonderful world of recruiting, because I saw all of your comments and everything, going all the way back to Jackson Johnson. Shout out to you way at the top of the show. Breaking news, defensive lineman Logan Nagel has flipped from Pitt to Miami. Nagel is the fourth flip in the past 4 days for the Miami Hurricanes. True, and true. So let's work backwards. Logan Nagel from Wayne, New Jersey, hometown of Greg Olson and the Olson family. They does not go to the same school, Bergen Catholic up there. But yeah, 6'5", 260, interior defensive lineman, was committed to Pitt until 7 o'clock, right when we're coming on. And then he is instead flipped to Miami. Big physical kid. Pitt does a great job with defensive line evaluation and development over the course of many years. So getting a guy who was, going to go there for defensive line is a good get. So yeah, we add Logan Nagel to this class, and you see his ranking there on the screen. DePaul Catholic in Wayne, New Jersey. 6'5". Oh, they have listed it up at 280. Perfect. Yeah, so interior lineman, physical, violent hands. I love adding him to this class. He's the second defensive tackle in 2 days. Previously yesterday, Isaac Chukwura from Bear, Delaware, which is in the Philly area, but obviously on the other side of the border. So Logan Nagel was committed to Pitt. Isaac Chukwura was committed to Penn State. Now is coming to Miami. As you see his profile come up on the screen, 6'2", 265. And again, Penn State, another team that has done very well with defensive line evaluation and development. And a kid, obviously they got rid of their coach and everything, and Miami was already recruiting him, very high on him in his senior film. Plays outside and inside and offensive line a little bit. This is a guy who's going to live at defensive tackle. A very similar athletic profile to Ahmad Moten Sr. coming out of high school, from a very similar size, weight, build standpoint. And if you can follow that same developmental path, cooking with fish grease. So love that. So that's Pitt and Penn State in the last 2 days. The day before that, DeAnthony Lafayette from Orlando, Florida, Lake Nona High School. Previously committed to LSU. This is a two-way player, plays running back and defensive end. You see that he is listed edge, 6'1", 230. I know that he's athletic, but that frame being that small, unless he grows, I've seen Miami go down this path with players this size, this position, and it just doesn't work. And he's not somebody that they are intending to move the linebacker. They want him as an edge rusher. Now, he is the state leader in sacks at the 7A level in Florida. Second on that list is Ashari Charles from Venice, another Miami Hurricanes commit. Super athletic. Everybody's putting out his wingspan and everything on the commitment post. This is in basketball. When do we talk about wingspan like that on a defensive end? Because he's undersized, and you have to sell something that, would be good. Look up and I have watched the film. He's very good at the high school level. He's very athletic. I've just seen 6'1" edge rushers here at Miami, especially over the course of a long time. And I have great concerns that he'll be able to produce the same way at this level that he does at the high school level. If he's able to do so, I openly invite him to prove me wrong. He's going to my alma mater. I'm going to root for the kid. I'm not going to hate on the kid. Just projecting forward, I've seen smaller edge rushers struggle so many times at Miami and just across the sport that this one gives me personally a little bit of pause. Was a 4-star kid, top 400 recruit. So adding to the blue chip ratio to this class, hey, I accept him with open arms and we'll move forward. And he was committed to LSU. So, hey, maybe they see something that I don't. And if they do, then that works out for everybody. Lastly, the first flip of this week from Manhattan, Kansas, the son of a former Michigan player in his day, James J.J. Dunnigan, from Manhattan again. So the town where Kansas State is he was formerly committed to the University of Kansas, which wowzers. So from the Little Apple, very excited about this kid. Listed as a corner, but he more as a safety in my eye from his build, his movement skills, and his film. You see that 6'2", 185. So I mean, he's a cheeseburger away from like 195 or 200 pounds. Top, barely outside the 150 in the composite. Number 2 player in the state of Kansas. 247 is even higher on him than the composite. He's in the, he's number 99 in the country for them. I'm very excited about JJ Dunnigan. You watch his film, he has long speed. I mean, you can tell that he's a legit 6'2", 6'3". When he really opens up the stride, kick returner, punt returner, making plays, play some offense and everything. Yeah, but I see on film a young Jacoby Thomas. Like I could see him in that profile for Miami down the line. Yeah. And if you play him outside, I don't know that his hips are fluid enough to stay outside, but if he is able to play corner, wow, then you're really, really, really getting something here. But yeah, JJ Dunnigan, very, very excited for him. So yeah, those are the flips in the last 4 days. JJ Dunnigan, DeAnthony Lafayette, Isaac Chikora, and Logan Nagel just this evening. Miami is going to continue to try to flip guys. Miami is still taking big swings at guys committed elsewhere. Your Nolan Wilsons, your Bryce Perry Wrights, 5-star defensive linemen both. There are other dudes at the top of this recruiting class nationally that Miami is still going to be going after. And I'm with it. This is what we should be doing, how we should be recruiting. It is a marathon, not a sprint, but you're into the final kick portion of the marathon. You know what I mean? You need to dig deep, pump your arms, turn over those hip flexors and everything, and just kick. So yeah, we're getting there and everything. I'm so far behind on notebooks. I know that I already started, but then I had a couple of them get corrupted and just all these flips. Whatever. Just pray for me for the next 3 weeks, pretty much is what I'm saying in terms of notebooks, because it comes down to this. Even though I started weeks ago, I started still in October, but it is what it is. I need to just buckle down and get a couple of them done every single goddamn day, but we will make it happen because we always do. It's just like college. You can complain about it and get it done by finals, or you can not complain about it and get it done by finals. Figure it out. So I'm engaging that procrastination station from my youth kind of a thing. But that is the update in the wonderful world of recruiting. I'll turn it back over to you, Mark.
Cam, you're on my prayer list tonight. I will be praying for your speediness through that, even though you have proven capable of hitting the deadline every time. 2 of your favorite brands, everyone, the voice of college football and the Miami Hurricanes together, vocfb.com. I'll put the link there in the chat. You've got all sorts of good merchandise, and I do promise the quality combination with affordability. We took great strides in and went at a great lengths to do our best in those 2 categories. So you've got all sorts of caps and tees, and you've got koozies and hoodies and the tumbler there and the mug. So vocfb.com. And then you just go to shop and pick out your favorite team, which would be Miami, I believe.
Indeed, it is. So yeah, go ahead and check all of that out. Somebody was, I just scrolled past it. I'm not going to scroll back. Or basically saying, why are we not complaining about bad calls this year the way that we complained about bad calls in years past? I didn't have, like I said, I'm not centering officiating in Miami's failures. Although I agree, there have been calls that have been impactful in every game, including games that we've lost. It just kind of is what it is. Somebody asking about Anthony Johnson, the Oregon defensive end commit. Are we getting him? We're trying. We'll see. Anthony Jones? I think it's Anthony Tank Jones, not Johnson. Either way, whatever. He's another guy in that group of elite defensive linemen that we're still pursuing, among many, many others. So, but we have to just continue to do what we're doing in the wonderful world of recruiting, which has been, it's clear that, we've been working on this even through the, balance of this season. But at this point, the only thing that we can do is win the games in front of us. That's it. And I mean, I've already said it. I said it before we lost. We lost to Louisville. Cool. Win the rest of them, 11-1. You skate to the ACC championship game, and you go to the conference championship game. Lose another game. Okay, start it over again. You know what I mean? It's it's like was it on The Simpsons when they have a thing like, 0 days since the incident here at the nuclear power plant? 1 day. 0 days since an incident. Okay, 1 day, 2 days. 0 days since that's how I feel. You know what I mean? Like we're 1 week away from, so it's 1 day since an incident. Do we continue it forward or do we don't? I mean, it's just that simple. So, I really hope that this team takes the success from last week and moves forward with that positive mentality of achievement and accomplishment in a positive way and uses that to go forward. I will say again what I've said many a time, but we lost 2 of these. Miami's more talented than everybody that we're playing. The one team that was comparable was Notre Dame, and we beat them. Everybody else, we're more talented than, objectively. If you don't play like it, it doesn't matter. We didn't play like it at SMU, and we got screwed on some calls real bad. You definitely didn't play like it when you threw the ball to Louisville 4 times. That's a game you really shouldn't have lost. And I know you gave up 2 touchdowns in the first 2 drives, but after that was lockdown. But you still just couldn't get out of your own way. And you had multiple chances to take advantage or to take control of that game. Credit to them. Yeah, I know that they have players over there and they made plays and they did things. If you don't throw the ball to them 4 times, you win that game. Even, you know what I mean? It's really that simple. I think even on that even you could have thrown the ball to them 3 times and not thrown the last one and still won that goddamn game. Like, it takes so much for Miami to overcome their talent advantage. And you just see that kind of stuff over and over again. I hope that we've seen the last of it, in this regular season. And, we'll see. I see, Kane thing talking about holding calls on Bain. They don't call them. They don't. But he's getting held. You can see it, when he comes up and his shoulder pads all jacked up and you see it. I don't know what you got to do else for them to call it, But yeah, it's really incumbent on the Miami Hurricanes doing their own job, man. You've got to go out there and you've got to perform. And you've really painted yourself into a corner with these 2 losses now. So I know that I've said it before that, season ending, the loss at SMU, but, with some of these other losses, the window is open, and like, if I'm a Georgia Tech fan or alum, I'm pretty pissed that we're behind Miami in the rankings. I'm not, don't care. We're the highest ranked team in the conference. Keep winning. And I know, the committee chair, and I tweeted this and I believe it. I know you can tell he's lying because every time he's asked a direct question about Miami, he starts stuttering. He's like a little kid, bro. Like, oh, well, Mac Rhodes, tell me about Ohio State. Oh, da-da-da-da-da. Tell me about Texas A&M. Da-da-da-da. Tell me about Miami. Well, like it's, all of a sudden it turns into Porky Pig out there, when he's asked a direct question about Miami, like whatever. But you keep winning and you're going to put yourself in a position and you're going to get a couple head-to-head losses of teams ranked in front of you still because they have head-to-head games. You know what I mean? Texas and A&M, they still play each other. A&M beats Texas. They're out of here. And they're trying to set Texas up now as the SEC 3-loss team that's supposed to make it now, right? They're out of there behind Miami at a minimum, right? Nope. Well, Mark's face right there, they're going to do the exact same bullshit that they did last year with Alabama because of exactly that. But hey, whatever, bro. But hey, as long as you keep winning, you put yourself in contention for a spot.
So if Texas loses to Texas A&M and it's extremely close, let's say Texas A&M's They're going to be 1, 2, or 3 in the country unless they lose a game they're not supposed to lose. So Texas A&M is going to be 1, 2, or 3 in the country. And let's say Texas loses by a field goal, they're not going to dock them much for that. Plus, Texas is going to have a win against Georgia to their credit. So I don't expect them to go anywhere. These are my rankings. I've got Miami at 12. I've got Georgia Tech at 18. So because there's a lot of Big Ten teams in there at 7 and 2, USC, Michigan, that I've got between them. And I've got Notre Dame rightfully behind Miami at 13. I've got Miami at 12. The thing that the committee did, if you did notice what Cam's alluding to, is that Georgia Tech was ahead of Miami last week. Georgia Tech was off. They've got a better record at 8-1 versus Miami 7-2, which is part of the equation, but shouldn't be everything. Miami's played a tougher schedule. So they move up Miami 3 spots. They move up Georgia Tech 1 spot. So Miami off, it can't be off the strength of a win against Syracuse. Moves past Georgia Tech. That's just the committee kind of taking the backlash of this ridiculous 8-spot difference between Miami and Notre Dame. That's just inconceivable, and kind of inching them like maybe somebody won't notice. We'll kind of start to course correct.
And look, 6 spots is still egregious. It's still unacceptable. It's still unconscionable. But yeah, it's just, and I read so many articles. David Hale from ESPN said, they're giving Miami special treatment, but in a bad way. Ari Wasserman from On3, I read there's another couple articles, I retweeted them and everything, but everybody sees it. They're moving the goalposts and they're changing the point of conversation when it comes to Miami. And look, if you just want to say, we don't like them, they lost 2 games, well, I would rather that you came out with it. But you're literally talking out of the side of your neck to try to make these things happen. But you open the door when you lose games that you shouldn't. And from here on out, you need to win them all.
For me, I don't have an issue, even though I've got Miami ahead of Notre Dame. I don't have an issue if somebody's going to in some way argue that Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of Miami. And this is why, but not by 8 spots or 6 spots or even 3 or 4 spots. This is why, because if you strictly go by head to head, I've been doing rankings for like 10 years. And this is the first time I've been able to get this late into the season, and I can still honor head-to-head with everybody involved. Virginia, Louisville, Miami, Notre Dame, USC. It extends. It goes from that ACC cluster to the connection of Notre Dame beating USC beating Michigan, and I can keep them all in order. However, it creates what I consider inaccurate rankings, meaning that Miami win against Notre Dame kind of messes everything else up, because then Virginia and Louisville's got to be ahead of Miami if you're going to honor head to head, and Virginia's got to be ahead of Louisville. And does Virginia have a better resume than USC and Notre Dame? And they don't. So it becomes very messy. I like to honor the head to head. I try to go to every length to do it. But because Notre Dame and Miami, because Miami plays at least as good a schedule as Notre Dame, they're very comparable and won the game. The question that I would love to hear somebody ask the committee, and maybe Reese Davis has done it at some point, and I just missed it, is there a recency bias for any situation? Because nobody can tell me the week that the inaugural rankings came out and Miami was 8 spots behind, that if that game had just occurred on Saturday, that Miami would be 8 spots behind Notre Dame. That's ridiculous.
Well, he did ask in a very kid gloves way because Mac Rhodes the first week started mentioning teams losing and how the schedule goes. And so then Reese followed up and said, okay, so then following up on that, sir, does when a team loses a game matter then? Because if you're talking about, placing them and so does when it happened, which is the nice way of saying, so is there a recency component to it? To which the response was, no, there is no recency component to it. So then what are we talking about with Miami 8 places behind Notre Dame? If not, and then in the next sentence, he's like, okay, well, talk to me about Miami. Oh, well, recently they haven't looked. Buddy, you just said there's no recency component. You just said it. You just said it. You just said it. You just said it. So then I'm like, yeah, what are we talking about? Because literally one answer was there is no component of when a team loses, but Miami recently, They've recently lost some games and not looked at.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy. It's like, long story short, I was working as a church singer one time and we did a sunrise Easter Sunday service on the beach. It was incredible. I mean, scenes. We did it for 4 years in college. It was incredible. And the guest pastor went to a lectern and he read something, and he went to the main lectern and read the same thing again. And I'm sitting there in the choir loft, like he literally read the exact same thing. And it's like that from Mac Rose, except for like he read the one thing and then the exact inverse of the same thing, but he said it was the same verse. It's just like it's mind boggling. But again, we put ourselves in position to have our mind boggled because we lost 2 games that we shouldn't. So from here on out, we need to win. Straight butter. Love the super chat. Thank you for the support. Miami beat Notre Dame and USF and the current playoff teams in Florida and Florida State, who beat Texas and Alabama. But again,
wait, who beat Texas?
Florida by 3 scores.
Oh, Florida beat. Okay, I'm reading it wrong.
Florida beat Texas and Florida State beat Alabama.
He's going off into okay.
No, I get it, but like again, but you cannot ignore these things, and I
understand.
But again, I'm hopeful. For me, Texas loses to Georgia. Texas loses to A&M. They have 3 losses. Bye, and a terrible loss to a Florida team that we blew out. But at least in comparison to Miami, go sit, right? Then if Miami tended like that, but you need those and other ones. It can't just be that in the vacuum. But like you need some of these, results and everything. I know that Pat Narduzzi talked a big game about letting Notre Dame blow them out 110-3, and only focusing on the last 2 games in the ACC schedule. Because those are the ones that matter, and this week doesn't matter. I mean, if that's your real mentality, then like pack up your office, coach. We're going to get somebody else because we played. Like he literally said it. He was like, "Oh, I'm happy somebody asked me, and I don't care. And they can beat us 103. Hell, they could be 110-3, and da 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 da." And you think that you're going to make the playoff then? Really, bud? Really, bud? But whatever. Miami needs to take care of their own thing. It's just we have. Again, painted ourselves into a corner and put our fate of this season at the whim of others. And again, it is the same thing that I was talking about with the penalties from before and other things. They move the goalposts and they evaluate Miami completely differently. Even when they say one thing, they will directly controvert that and go against what they just said, the previous answer, when the view is to put Miami down. But we gave them that opportunity, so we have to win out to 10-2 and then hope.
Okay, so I agree that there needs to be a distinction made, and it needs to be stated that either it's a plain resume ranking and every data point is exactly the same, or there is a recency, like what used to happen with the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Look, who's hot? Who are the best? We want to select the best teams right this second. Therefore, week 1 is on your record, but you could have changed quite a bit. Either one, what I think the issue is, if they're being honest about it, but they're not going to state this, is that within the room, for some of them, it's a recency bias. We want to select the best teams in December. And for others, it's no, they're all data points. It's a resume. They all count this. I bet there's a conflict, but they can't, or they should state that. It shouldn't be that big a deal to say we have dissenting votes. They should have another column in this ranking to see what is the range of rankings within that room for each team.
And I definitely agree. But look, they put out what the rubric was last year, and it was all concrete measures of data points, wins and losses, strength of schedule. You know, they selected a list of criteria and said, this is what we're basing this off of. And then the entire first week, Mac Rhodes got out there and talked about the vibe check and the eye test, which they expressly said was not the metric through which they were measuring and evaluating teams. So look, again, you've already given us what the rubric is, and then say, well, we're doing this other thing. And with this other thing, even though we said it doesn't matter when a team loses, Miami recently has, the points are made up and nothing matters. You know, like it is what it is. But again, it's incumbent upon Miami to go to win. They have to go and start that on senior day this week, 3:30 at Hard Rock Stadium against the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Please make your way out to the stadium. This is it. We have come to the end of the road. There are no more home games at Hard Rock Stadium for the Miami Hurricanes this year, unless or until we make it to either an Orange Bowl, unlikely because we're probably not going to be a top 4 seed, or, well, I mean, possibly, but we'd be the away team if we back in there, or the national championship game. So, absent those 2 times, if you want to, which are potential at best, you want to see the Miami Hurricanes again, you need to come to the stadium this week. This team plays hard. There are guys who have been here for many years, and guys who have only been here for 1 year, but playing their last home game, and they deserve your support and mine as well. So please, please, please come on out to the stadium Saturday afternoon. You got to be there. You have to be there. And this is it. So, you know, get the feel of Miami Hurricanes football live and in person at Hard Rock Stadium that you can get. That's going to last you until September. So in the dog days of spring and summer, when we're talking about, man, I really wish the opportunity is here on Saturday. So please come on and do that. Straight butter. Pit coach should be investigated for that comment if they actually get blowed out. That's insane. He said it live and on microphone in front of people. That was really egregious. But, you know, hey, do what you do. But yeah, maybe he should. But yeah,
investigated for throwing a game.
Mm-hmm. If it works out that way, and I get that there was exaggeration for comedic effect in his response, but like it was against the spirit of sport.
Sure.
Of what
I totally agree with both of you. But it's not like Notre Dame can't beat. It's inconceivable that they couldn't beat Pitt 35-10. Like.
Oh yeah, no, it's not inconceivable at all. Yeah, but just, I mean, to abdicate any kind of resistance on a Monday presser, I just think that's contrary to the level of sports. Straight butter, go Canes. I love the show. Appreciate you. Fresh 3542. Beyonce is a Canes fan. Go on, sis. Hey, all the single. Well, she's not single anymore, but yeah, you know what I mean. James Scott. I'm gonna end it on this one. Chef Cam's Cooking Corner. This has been a point with my friends and family for a good long time. What am I cooking for Thanksgiving? If you know me, you know I do not like turkey. Never have. I do not like anything banana either. So if you're looking over here for a banana pudding recipe, skate along, buddy, skate along. What I am making, I am going to do a small prime rib, so probably only 2 or 3 bones, just for a couple, small gathering. So I'm going to do that. Have a tried and true recipe for that. That's pretty good. Mashed potatoes, I always do. My mac and cheese is like literally, I am not doing it this year, but for many a year, I would just, I would sell it to my friends at cost. Just so they would buy the ingredients, and then I would buy them a ceramic dish, and then I would make it, boom, give them the instructions to bake it off at the end. My mac and cheese is like the one. So I'll definitely be making that. I don't know if I'm going to endeavor to do it this year, but I definitely want to try to do handmade croissants. Eventually, my boy Felder, he does all of his cooking and baking in his house for him and his family. And he, if they have burger night, he makes his own brioche buns and then grinds his own you know what I mean, meat for the. So I'm not at that level, but definitely want to do that. I saw a corn souffle recipe on Instagram the other day that I definitely want to try. I make very good collard greens, so I'm going to do those as well. Maybe some roasted carrots. And I also fight with Felder. His lovely wife is a native Michigander, as am I. And as a native Midwesterner, where do you fall, Mark, on green bean casserole? Do we love it or do we hate it?
Anytime you connect the word casserole to just about anything, I'm typically out. I like green beans, but I don't consider it a casserole. I just like green beans with some bacon.
Okay.
I love green beans with bacon. It's how my family has always done them. But the casserole I can do without.
Okay. I do it more Brussels sprouts with shallots and bacon. But it just reminds me of Thanksgiving growing up, green bean casserole, man. Okay. Like the traditional, cream and mushroom soup. And that one, the good old Midwestern one. So definitely need that. And then, I mean, maybe I'll roast off some chicken leg quarters or something also, just to have a second kind of protein. But that would be that's what I'm marinating on for Cam's Cooking Corner for Thanksgiving. And James saying, he is around green bean all the time. So again, I'm from Detroit, so it's a thing. And also I have to start really, really early with the prep. If you don't know my boy Mike Felder in the Bleachers on Instagram and Twitter, he actually has a newsletter, and he does a thing where he does Operation Thanksgiving. And it's all year round, because people try to roast off a turkey for the first time on Thanksgiving and they fail. It's like, well, yeah, if you try to do anything for the one time, there's a high level of variance on whether you can do it. So he's tried out different side recipes and different things. And so whether you're roasting it off in the oven, whether you're deep frying it or whatever, I urge you in the Bleachers on all socials, go find it, find this newsletter. Start trying a couple of things now, especially if it's like a turkey thing that you've never done before. But yeah, those are the kind of things that I'm looking forward to making and having on this new Thanksgiving. So I will get into that, but also I will be chefing it up in WordPress editorial, writing these goddarn recruiting notebooks, because that next Wednesday is signing day. So I will be cooking that up also. But yeah, that's what's on my radar as of right now. If there's anything else, the only new really thing is the corn souffle. That's different than everything else, is running back a previous recipe. If there was anything else, I would have to see. And somebody says, do turkey wings way easier? I don't like turkey unless I'm putting it the smoked wings in my collard greens, which is what I do. So boom, there you have it. Cam's Cooking Corner, and that'll wrap us up. I appreciate it.
It's impressive.
Appreciate you guys.
I'm the guy that texts the host and says, what do you need me to bring? What kind of beverages, dessert? I'm picking up the pie at the local grocery store, etc., etc.
Hey, I've been there as well. And you know what? I think I might endeavor to try a peach cobbler again, because the first time I made it, it was no bueno. I intended to take it somewhere and then had to go to Publix and pick something up because I did not execute that recipe correctly. So maybe the corn souffle and then the peach cobbler for dessert being the new things this year, and then everything else that I said as well. But yeah, man, thanks for joining us. I know James Scott said that you need to hit the like and subscribe button, so do that. Also, StayWithYou.com. It is right there underneath my smiling mug. Please come over and fan with us there as well. Lots of great commentary and analysis of your Miami Hurricanes, who, again, have their final home game of the year this Saturday. So please come see us at the stadium. Otherwise, I'll see you right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. See ya.